How's it going, everybody? It's a different day today, a bit blustery, but still nice all the same. I hope this finds you all well. I've changed position than I have been in for the last wee while. I've just moved over to this side because what I didn't want was sculpting and crossing my hand in front of the camera so that you couldn't see. So just give me 1 sec here. I'll just get YouTube rocking. I hope everybody's well. I have had a bizarre morning. I got a phone call a couple of days ago saying that there's a swarm of bees in somebody's house. So I ended up going to somebody's house this morning to see if I can get them out of the house, but they're actually a serious hive stuck in a soffit in a roof. So that will have to be done at a later time because that would take the whole day to get rid of, and I had to get back to do this. So I hope everybody's well. I'm just going to move this around to the side, around here, so you see less of me. Colin, how's it going? Damien, what's the story? Martha, how are you? What I'm starting on today is I've sort of been getting this. You can see here that it's craggy, it's not finished yet, and here that was like that, so I've been working on it, getting it smoothened out, and I'm working on the wrinkles, those really famous massive wrinkles of Beckett, and I'm just swooping them around onto this, around here and onto this lovely wrinkle over his ear. So that's what I will be doing today. So Lisa, how are you doing? So as usual, lads, if you want to say hello or you just want to watch, cool. Or if you have a question, for people who don't know, what I am doing is, and I've started doing this since the lockdown. Now, lockdown is becoming less lockdown. But I decided I was going to sculpt Beckett, and that's sort of what's happening every Wednesday and Saturday is me sculpting this fella, and a few people have asked questions, even just questions, technical stuff of what they're trying to do themselves. So I'm more than happy. I'm sitting here for the next hour sculpting away, so if you want to engage or not, that's cool. But if you want that, ask me a technical question, go ahead. I'm all yours. Yeah. It's just as I see them, I'm going to, I don't know if you can see them, you're just about to see them. I'm just getting rid of some craggy bits, and deep bits that never even got any clay into them. So it's a bit of a change in the weather, lads, but I suppose that's a good thing. I have a brother-in-law across the country, and he has an equestrian centre, and I didn't realise like the amount of feed that has to be given a horse is phenomenal, and without rain there is no feed or no grass, so therefore you have to feed them a lot of money. So the rain has come, so that's good. Now I'm just gonna, hopefully that's fine. So what I'm going to do is use my Kemper W21, and I'm going to get these big furrow lines in. They're already in. I'm just going to accentuate them a bit, and do a little bit too, just literally a gouge of a line across, and that's not the way skin works. So I've filled it in, and now I'm making that skin texture around it. I've done a few, not a few passes, I've done some passes on this already, texture wise. It's really only a base. And these wrinkles here are fun because they will be crashing down on each other. sponge I am using is a stipple sponge. Or Scott foam. A lot of people call it Scott foam. It's called, I'm not sure, actually I'm not sure why it's called Scott foam, but it's not cheap, but what you can do is buy it in bulk. That's what I did. Sarah, how are you? Welcome. I have the oven on in the background as well, lads. It's for the last 2 weeks or so I haven't had to put it on really, because the weather was so fine and it was roasting in here. Whereas today it's a little bit cool, so the clay I'm using is actually wax, so it does need a little bit of heat. Remember when you're doing skin texture that there is a pattern on it, and you can easily get that pattern wrong. And how to get it right is reference. Where is he going? This is actually the best one I have, and it's actually quite out of focus really, but we work with it. Crow's feet are great, and they do all sorts of weirdness. Shelly Lay, what's the story? So I think I heard yesterday that we are now free to roam the county, and then hopefully in a month's time we will be able to go around the country if you so wish. That'd be really odd, being able to do that after so long of not being able to do it. I know there's probably people celebrating, but I'd say there's a lot of people going, geez, I don't know what to do. Walk up here for a wee while and get some hoary skin texture in here, and it'll be going around the ear. I usually do a first pass of hoary skin texture, especially on this scale, and then go over that again with the wrinkles. I just find it easier that way, and you'll be getting pores down into those deep wrinkles as well. That can be a bit of a pain. Always lean you to it. Hey Sinead. So you find, and these lines that I put in, the way I describe them is I draw them in, and whether I add fat on here or weight on here, I'll decide that later, or whether this has to fold on top of a wrinkle below, I'll decide that later, but I would always draw it in, and that's the way I would describe it, with people who start sculpting, most people I would have thought are used to drawing, and they can get into their head fairly quickly that drawing onto the sculpt. Whereas you start trying to create 3 dimensions straight away, I think that blows people's minds. Don't do that. Just start with drawing. It might look flat, but then how you Aoife? It might look flat, but then when you flip the sculpture around, we can adjust that, readjust that. That's a handy way of mapping it out. That's the way I was looking at it. Now what you could do is you could keep on going with the tool if you wanted, and do the whole, not the whole lot, but that section you're doing all at once. I don't tend to do that. I like to see what's happening. So on this, at this scale, what you could use is IPA or lighter fluid and a brush, chip brush, laminating brush, but that there has the top cut off. It's about 2 inches long. Cut it 1 inch down, makes it a little bit harsher. You could do that. I don't tend to do that. I tend to do that near the end, maybe, because it's nice not to work with chemicals while you're doing this, so there's not smells going around the room. So you could use IPA, you could use lighter fluid for that. Excuse me. It is quite odd and strange the direction that skin does go in. So do look at reference. Not necessarily what you think. And nature has, well, this repeating thing of everything in nature has a pattern. So you need to look at that pattern. Get that into your head before you start sculpting. What I've obviously done, well, maybe not obvious to some, I've worked on the form, or primary form. That's the initial stages of getting everything blocked out, getting everything symmetrical. Well, I think it's symmetrical. I hope it's symmetrical. It looks symmetrical. There's no point, absolutely no point, in starting this stuff here if the primary is not right, because what will happen is inevitably you're going to look, like you go away, you come back and you look at it and it just isn't right. There's something wrong, and if you're like me, you're going, feck it, I will try and change that or make it more accurate or better, and you've just wasted. If you've gone on to the texture like this, you've just wasted hours, and I have wasted hours of work. So try and get the primary done first. It's funny here with these lines, we'll shoot across these lines, they're overlapping. It's lovely. Sponge on top of those lines so that the harshness goes away, and they fold on top of the next one, which is what we're looking for. What I'm trying to do in here, you can see it there, I'm trying to create pores, but pores in a pattern. Now what I might do is I'd sometimes here, like here, might be an added bit of weight needed there. So I'll just make a little sausage while I'm here. I'll add it on. Just a little bit. Roll it down. Bit of burnish. And then I will, now you see there, I had texture there, and now all that texture is gone. Now it's only a little bit, doesn't matter. But imagine the whole side of the face you've textured, and the primary is not right. It's very annoying. So as if you have any questions, send it out to me. Now, with doing this stuff, sometimes it looks completely wrong because you look like you're wrecked the sculpt. Because you have all the divots in it, and it does sometimes look like that. But what you use the sponge on it, and you pull it over and soften it back. It's amazing what it looks like. Now go handy if you're using one of these. This is the coarse one. It will annihilate stuff. And the way I will do the pores is I will do two and then one down the middle and make it a little bit longer. I just found that works on this scale. If it was like human real scale, full size scale, this is 2 to 1. I would do a slightly different technique. And if I feel there should be a wrinkle in there when I'm doing the pores, stick it in. So if I think you are down to do the silicone bust course during the summer, so I actually have a meeting with all the, like I do it for funding bodies, for training bodies, Grayson them on. So I have a meeting with them on Tuesday to see, is the COVID-19 going to wreck everything, or are we going to be able to go ahead? So it would be fantastic if we could go ahead. Great crack. And if there's anybody out there who doesn't know what I'm talking about, if you want to the website or onto YouTube, for last year, for the last couple of years I've done a sculpting course in Mockness. I gave it, and last year we did a silicone, a sculpting course and a silicone. Made whatever we sculpted into silicone bust, and it was a lot of fun. So we're hoping to do that this year again. If I don't see a comment immediately, it's just I have flipped around because I find this, the way I was sculpting, you could see it better than I could, so I just flipped it around so I can see it better as well. And I do intend to do a few more online classes or course in the near future, but I need to get Delneary. I work in Delneary College of Art and Design. I need to get that out of the way first, and that's nearly coming to a close next couple of weeks. So I'll be a little bit more free to actually do stuff, which would be cool. I think today might be a quiet one. I actually think that a lot, I don't know, people might be actually, I know of some people are actually back to work. So this Feck with Beckett might be coming to a close soon enough, which we'll do something else. But this is I've enjoyed doing this with people tuning in and stuff like that. But we might do something else. I'll get this fella finished. But look at that. I think one thing I've found with talking to people is at the start of COVID, people were gung-ho into oh, we're going to create this, we're going to create that, and which is brilliant. But the problem with something like that is over this length of time, it has been a long time, for a lot of people, that momentum, that's very difficult. I even find it myself very difficult to maintain and keep up. And to be honest, I think, well, I know myself, people are getting tired of sitting in front of social media all the time. It's different for me doing this. I'm not in front of social media, I'm actually doing it. Hiya Helen, how's it going? There's a funny thing happening here, and I think I just need to make a little bit of a sausage. Like even at this stage, if you see something, why not change it? Why not just put something, you know, if you see that it doesn't look right, change it. Now I know that it's going to cover a bit of the work that I've done already, but so what? A couple of minutes I'll be back again. I don't know if you can hear my kids playing in the background. Usually they're cool. They know I'm doing this, so they always keep quiet. But there's been a few days there that, well, not recently, but there were a few crappy days, so they were all cabin people in here. But they were still very good. How's it going, everybody? So I see a few people have tuned in there. If you feel free to ask a question, or anything. If you want a technical question, a few model makers they were asking me all sorts of stuff, which is brilliant. But I'd say, oh, I think I know. It's not usually the usual heads that I hear aren't here, because they have they're 40 years, a lot of them, and they have submitted their work. So I'd say there are sore heads. And fair play to them, congratulations. If there's any of you that are watching that have submitted work for college, fair play. I know it's been a difficult, challenging time to be able to do stuff like that. Like really hard, but fair play if you got it done. And if you didn't, don't worry about it. You'll be able to get it done again. Now what you find with doing this, in its nature, it's just moving from one bit to another. So you start in one section and then it moves into the next. There's still something funny going on here. Just scoop that in a bit so it's not just a harsh line which it sort of looks like. Keep the pattern. Just do that there too, and that might actually solve that little thing that I'm seeing. Be careful when you're doing this as well. You want to get to a stage that it will look fairly finished and you don't want to ding it. And when I say ding it, I mean hit it or with your nail or with a tool. Very annoying when that happens. And if you like, there is a stage that you can sort of switch off if you have actually studied the reference enough. You could switch off and just go into the texturing mode, because as long as you have an understanding of where the pattern goes, it does go in the pattern of the lines that you actually put on. Aidan, what's the story? Graham, how are you? Now there are places this sponge won't get to, and that's okay. So it's at that stage that I'm going to leave them on until later. I'm going to do as much of this as I possibly can with the tool and the sponge. But there are places, like I can't get in there. Can you see that? Yeah, in there with a sponge. I can just about get in there with a tool. So I would use a I'd use a brush, soft brush, and I would use lighter fluid. You could use IPA as well, whatever your preference is, or whatever you can get. So for the people who are wondering what the hell am I doing, I'm putting pores in, and then I would see a place where a line could go, a wrinkle, sorry, or skin texture, and I'll put that in as well. So I'm just doing the first pass of pores. Hi Shane, how's it going? What I tend to do as well. When I'm sculpting this type of stuff, it looks like I'm having afternoon tea with my pinky. Now there are tools that you can have them over there, sort of texture stamps that you could use that make the process that a little bit quicker, but I don't know, I just love doing this. Maybe when I get sick of it I will start using it. How's it going, Aidan? It's all good, it's all good. Changed position, so I thought it might be easier for me to sculpt and for you to be able to see. Aidan, thank you very much for putting your post out that you put out. You always have kind words. And if anybody wants to see Aidan Fox, he did a fantastic skull. We did sculpt a skull there a couple of weeks ago. And if you want to do it again, just go onto my website, sign up, you get all the reference, then go onto YouTube or stay on the website and have a go, follow along. And if you've never tried it before, it is for, I would think, beginners or advanced, doesn't matter. But obviously the more you do of this stuff, how do you get advanced? When you do more of it, simple as that. So practice. So have a go. Have a go. If you've never done it before, have a go. You don't need much, and I send you out all the material list. Have a go. It's great crack. Kieran Bonner, what's the story? You'll find after a while, even I'm looking at it and going, like around there, that does look like pores, and you're going, you sort of not complacent, but you just go, yeah, you know, that's what I'm doing, pores, and then you step back at some stage, or when you know you've gone away, come back, and you see it fresh, see it new, and you go, Jesus, that's skin, that's, you know, and that's a really cool thing to be able to go away, come back, and know that you know, you did that. Same with sculpt a skull. Would it not be cool that you have a skull? It's a lovely thing. I don't know if you can see mine. No, you can't. No, you can see the big one. Your hair cross stitching. Cross stitching. What's that? Sorry. What's cross stitching? Don't know what that is. I assume it's something got to do with the sewing machine. Has she got you working? These ears, with a lot of people's ears, especially around here, not a lot of texture on them at all, but with his ears and with old people's ears, there are pores. So at this scale, I'd be getting, that's why I'm putting them in. I don't know if you can hear some shishes in the background, they're all trying to be quiet about anything this. Clodagh, how's it going? Congratulations at submitting. I'd say that was a weight off. funny happening here as well, and I can still see the tool marks right in there. You can see that. Just want to get rid of them. Then I might need to fill it a little bit, maybe not. But if you, a lot of people, well, I see it happening. I teach a lot, and I teach people at all different levels. But this is the bit everybody wants to get onto, you know, the real bit, making it look real. But if the primary is crap, doesn't matter if how good you are at texturing. But you have to get rid of the tool marks. If the tool marks are there, you'll see them. You absolutely will see them. And that's what I'm seeing here. I just want to get rid of them. Blanca, how are you? Wes, how are you? Oh, you're making a pixelated picture without a thread. Oh, good. Yeah. Have you nothing else to do? Mother of God, that most people think I'm fucking nuts doing this stuff. I think that would actually drive me mental. I have done tapestry. I did tapestry years ago for on a portfolio course years ago, and I did a self-portrait in tapestry, and I thought it disappeared because I could never find it for years, and my mother actually rang me not so long ago. I think it was in the last maybe 2-3 weeks. Unlike lots of people, my mother and my father have been spring cleaning, and they came across this cabinet, an antique cabinet that like seriously hadn't been opened in years. And now I did my portfolio course in, I think, 1986, so it's been in there since 1986, and the tapestry was absolutely perfect. Bizarre. Now I'm going over this because I went over it again earlier because I just wasn't happy with it, so I'm just putting this back in again. Now what will be cool when eventually, and that will be a long time coming, is Beckett, and a lot of the images that I see and the reference that I have wasn't always clean shaven, so there's going to be stubble here, so that will be really nice. And what will be really nice is it's like, you know that when you got to this stage you've done the primary sculpting, then you know when you've done getting on to that stage of being able to do hair punching, that you've moulded the thing, you've cast the thing, you've painted the thing. A serious lot of work has been done to get to that stage. Now I'm going with gravity. I'll put it down. I might even do a bit of a circular motion, but I will always bring it back down. I'll see if I can get a photograph of the tapestry. The man sent it to me, so it's in Dundalk. But let's see if I have it on the phone and I'll bang it off to you. What it was I bizarrely am doing this now, which is a portrait of Beckett in my portfolio course, which is what the hell age was I? I must have been about 19, 20. And I decided to do self-portraits, and I was a bit of a loner. Well, just nothing, not much changed. But I had myself, so I decided I would do self-portraits, and I got bloody good at it. Now, and I can test to this. You know, you see these things on Instagram or Facebook. 2 months doing something, 10 years doing something. It does work like that, and I went from doing portraits that absolutely looked abysmal. It looked like I was hit by a back end of a bus, and but then it got to a stage that I could do it all in pencil and do it photorealistic. And God knows where they are. But this tapestry, it was a portrait of myself, and I wanted to sort of muck around with textures and stuff like that. So I wore a tweed hat and incorporated that into so it was all tapestry. So I feel your pain, Kieran. So hello to everybody who's joined. I see an amazing there, thank you very much. Siobhan Barrett, how's it going? For people who are just joining, what I'm doing is I'm doing not the first pass, but I'm trying to get in the pores, a little bit of skin texture, and then I get wrinkles and lines in there on top of that. There are the big major ones in there. I might even just go over them, add a few in while I'm going, like these. And with those lines there, remember the one thing you will get better at it as you go. But the one thing you need to keep in your head is that the wrinkles do go in the direction. There is a pattern to it, but X's. It could be short, stubby X's. It could be long, thin X's, depending on the skin texture of the wrinkle that you're trying to achieve. But keep that in your head. You won't go too wrong. And if you look at your hand, you literally look at it now, you will see what I'm talking about, little X's. Sometimes I tend to jump around the place because I see something and I go, oh, that'd be cool to do that. I used to be giving out to myself to stop, just do this methodically, but I couldn't stop. So then I just said, feck it, that's just the way I sculpt. Now there will be a stage I will lay off this brush, not the brush, the sponge, and I will go on to just a light, maybe a harsher brush, and then eventually a light brush. And even the brushes will, what is going on there? The brush will give you texture. Obviously really small texture, but it will give you texture. quarter 2. So I, before going live, which I did, went live at 3, and anybody that doesn't know, I was just joined in. I go out at 3 on Wednesdays and Saturdays. I'm not too sure how long that's going to go on for, because I think a lot of people are getting back to their lives, which is great. But I've actually enjoyed doing these. So Feck with Beckett might change. I was thinking of instead of doing this regularly, I might change and do something else. So if you're interested in seeing something else, like other sculpting tutorials or techniques, stay tuned. I'll give everybody loads of notice. But I do think everybody's getting back to normal. Well, whatever the feck is normal. Well, I think everybody's getting back to normal. You tell me, lads. You're watching. Are you back to normal, or are we getting back to normal, or what? I know that we can drive a lot more. Now, I was in my car today, and Jesus, it didn't look like anything had changed. Just everybody on the road. Now with this skin texture I'm doing here, there is a pattern to it, but on the reference, I've said this a few times, that I have for Beckett, I can't see it. So what I did was I put a few faces on myself, took a photograph of myself, a selfie if you want, and printed it off. So that's the reference that I'm going with. And once you get those pores in, put in some lines for wrinkles, or maybe not even wrinkles, but skin texture. Oh crap, lost my sponge. Now you don't know it, but I am up on a high stool because this fella is huge, and the high stool isn't even big enough, so I'm on a cushion on top of the high stool. People might be camping outside Penny's next Thursday for when it opens. Oh my God, is it opening next Thursday? Like, that's going to be mental. Like stuff like that. I think people either people aren't going to know, or people are going to go nuts. I don't know which is going to happen. As long as I'm not fecking there, that's cool with me. How's it going, Fiona? And what you'll notice with skin is that it does weird things, and the skin is going this way, the pores, but then there's lines going this way, and that's actually exactly what happens. But this cool stuff is where they actually overlap across each other. Fiona, how are you surviving? I see you're delighted to be out of IUDT. Now this sponge I have here is not as harsh as the other one, but it will do the same job. Pennies. So Karen, you're going to be camping outside Pennies, yeah? That'd be like Jenny, right? You'd want your head checked, wouldn't you? You really would want your head checked. I to be going for a social distancing coffee. At what time? In 9 minutes. Excuse me. So this skin, you can see. Well, I actually don't know if people can see this the amount of detail that's on this. It's ridiculous the amount of detail that you can get into this material. And I have seen people's sculpts that like people like, what's the last one I saw, Sam Jinx, and he was in the what do you call it, Galway Arts Festival, and you're just looking at that and you're going, this is just mad stuff. It's so real, and what's sort of fantastic about his work is it's real. It looks real, but it's not at the same scale either. Similar to Beckett, he's overscaled. Sam Jinx goes small. Now it is fun when you can get into this stage. Now you could go out with a sponge, or you could go out with a what do you call it? Brush. It's up to you. I like the sponge. Myself. He was asking me a question. It was like when a few McDonald's opened in Dublin and the guards had to call the guards had to be called to handle the traffic. Ah, Jesus, and that's just madness. That's nuts. Like, you don't need it that bad, for Christ's sake. And if you do, learn to Feck and cook. It is again around here. It is quite smooth, but you will see pores on it. So we'll go a little bit handy, but like if you look at your body or anybody else's body, if you have that privilege, and don't get your head kicked in, our whole body is covered with textures. Yeah, I suppose that'd be really weird walking up to people on the street going, can I see your pores? It's only McDonald's that it happened. That's mad. That is absolutely insane. Now I know in Galway, they opened up the market. I dinged it. They opened up the market in Galway, and now I don't know if it's reopened or not. But it had to be closed. The council closed it again because they couldn't maintain social distancing. And then what's great, what I was saying is, when you go with the pattern, and there is a pattern, when there's angles like things going on like this line going into that ear, follow that line. That's your pattern. So it'll come along here, up and up and up and up. So as long as you get those lines in, you can sort of switch your brain off a little bit after a little bit. I guarantee if you switch it off too much, you're going to see that it's going to skew big time. Just for something funny with these lines, I think we need to put a little bit of porridge in them to tone them down a little bit. Now I'm not going to go down here because it's all craggy. I haven't smoothened it off yet. So the way I would smoothen it off is I would use tools. Use tools like the loop tool. And there's various different loop tools, or coarser loop tools, smoother loop tools, get it to a nice finish. How are you going, Mar? And then I will go in with a sponge and make it smooth. That's what that is up here. You can see there's a few, well, I can see there's a few things in there. Once you get it to that stage, you can see those little things, and just get rid of them. Mar, are you in the country or are you at home? Once we get into this neck, what I need to do is I need to clarify in my own head what the texture direction is, and put a few lines in. Well, I need to get that smoothed out in here, but I need to get the lines in, and once I've got a few lines in there, like direction lines, pattern lines, just whack into it. Now we're down into our last minute, lads. That was a quick hour, I'll tell you that. Wow. So as usual, I appreciate everybody tuning in. It's nice to spend an hour with you, and I am going to, as I said last week and this week, I am going to do some more tutorials in the near future. I just need to get out of Dunleary first. That'll be on the 20th of June. And once that happens, I'll put some stuff up, and we'll do some more tutorials, and hopefully people will join in like when we did Sculpt to Sculpt. But as I said, I'm very appreciative that everybody turns up and says hello. But I will tune out and say goodbye. So Slán Instagram, and again, share, like, comment, and YouTube and Facebook. See ye a lot next. What is today? Saturday. I'll see you a lot next Wednesday. And YouTube, I will see you on Wednesday. Don't forget to subscribe. If you like what you see, give us a comment, and give us a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe. As I said, there are tutorials that are in, and you'll see them on the website. You'll see them in YouTube as well.